Hi everyone and welcome to our summer series webinars. Hope that you're all okay and hope that you're all enjoying your summer so far. I'd just like to start by introducing myself and Synergist and also the company that I work for, the Agency Works. So I am a consultant at the Agency Works. The Agency Works, we are the implementation partner of the project management system called Synergist. I will be showing you live examples throughout this webinar of the system, as I'm sure you're all aware. We're going to be covering a number of different topics today, some including key performance indicators, client and job health and profitability, over servicing, utilisation rates and targets. We're also going to be looking at not literally just visibility, but we're going to be looking into how you can gain some visibility, and also not only just how you can gain it, but what you can do with that visibility within your particular agency, whether you are a digital agency, a full service agency, a PR agency, whether you're using spreadsheets, whether you're using a number of different tools, whether you are using a project management system. Hopefully this will all be relevant to you, and hopefully you'll also all walk away from this webinar with some nice little tips on all of these areas which you can see on the screen. So I'm actually going to, as mentioned before, I'm going to use the Synergist system as my live example today. So just what I'm going to do is I'm going to start at the initial stages of any agency. Now, most agencies, I know a lot of agencies have purchases involved within their agencies. So they have, suppliers. They may outsource things like print, photography, even sometimes freelancers, many different things. But most agencies run off their time. Okay, so it's really important to know, okay, how many available hours do we have within our agency to sell? So if we've got, say, 10 resource and we've got X amount of hours and we want them to be, say, 75% utilized, we need to sell altogether the total of X amount of hours. Okay, so it's basically it's gaining that calculation on, we've got this resource, this is how many hours they work a week, or it may be monthly. This is how many of those hours we want to be chargeable, okay, because that not all of their hours in which they can work are going to be chargeable. So this is the number that we do want to be chargeable, which brings me to utilization rates in just a second. Therefore, this is the number of available hours we have to sell within our agency. So having that in place, having that just as a calculation, now I've got my example here, I've actually got this broken down to a 3-month period. So whether you do this on a monthly period, on a 3-monthly period, so a quarterly period, or even a yearly period, that's entirely up to you guys. Now we would maybe suggest something like a 3-monthly period, as it is easier to keep track of. So what you should be doing within that, having that information, now you know the number of available hours, is, okay, are we selling those number of available hours? If we're not, it can cause implications in the long run, such as over servicing, a reduction in profitability perhaps, or no increase in profitability if that's one of your aims, due to the fact that if you're not selling the number of hours that you have available, it may mean that, one, you've got too many resource, or it may mean that the jobs in which you do have are being over serviced. Okay, so a really good way to keep a hold on this is also to track what is actually coming through the business. So by having, we would describe them as opportunities, otherwise known as jobs at quote stage, having them in place, okay, whether it's a paper-based spreadsheets, tool, but having them somewhere where you can compare them against the number of hours in which you have available and the number of hours in which you are selling is really useful, because you could put things like pipeline stages against them. So you could say, okay, we haven't sold the number of hours in which we have available. However, we can see that we have a number of different jobs, or opportunities, should I say, that have actually given us verbal commitment, whether you use that terminology or not. So we can say, okay, let's try and get those pushed through. Okay, let's try and, get them pushed through to ensure that we are selling the number of hours in which we have available. Because like I said, if you're not, then it may be due to resource. It may also be that, you know, in the long run there is over servicing, because if they've not got the hours in which are available, they will, you know, they're creatives. As we all know, they love doing what they do, so they will just carry on working on jobs that are there. Okay, to keep themselves busy. So just a little calculation that I wanted to share with you all. This is just a kind of a basic calculation, slightly more granular in the sense that I have got utilisation rates against each of my different resources in this example, but this is just a typical example on the number of hours in which you could potentially sell based on the different resource types, based on the different utilisation rates within your agency. So I've also I've done this on a weekly basis, so you can see hours contracted per week, how utilised I want them to be. There, I've also put that hourly rate in there, so I can actually calculate the target revenue based on those target hours that we're selling. As you can see, that's obviously all in front of you anyway, but that's just a typical example of how I may get to that calculation on the hours available. Okay. So the other area in which I wanted to share with you is, just open up Safari, is actually looking now at our staff utilisation. So if I just select our management dashboard for this example, so in our management dashboard, we do have a view on staff utilisation. So we know the number of hours in which we have available. What we need to do now, if we know that we're selling that number of hours, we need to make sure that we are completing that number of hours. So we need to make sure that, you know, our staff are hitting those utilisation rates in which we've set. Okay, so a way that you can do this, I've got this based on the company at the moment. You can do this by team. It may be that actually you want to be a bit more granular and you might want to pull this by individual, as in that example on the spreadsheet. I did have different utilisation rates for different individuals, which is usually the case. So just by tracking how many chargeable hours, how many non-chargeable hours each of those individuals are doing will give you a good hold on, you know, one, whether it's realistic or not if you've not got those in place already, or two, if they're actually being achieved. Now, another really good thing by tracking utilisation rates is you can actually almost see areas in which you could make changes for the better, or you can embrace, you know, the good. So if you've, say, got a particular resource and actually you can see that their non-chargeable hours is slowly increasing, now they might be a really valuable resource to you and they may also have quite a high charge rate. So actually, maybe some of those non-chargeable hours we can spread. Okay, so that person has actually more chargeable hours, more time for doing chargeable hours, should I say. If you can make, you know, tiny little changes like that throughout your processes, and whether it takes, you know, a month, 2 months, 3 months, a year, you know, tiny changes like that means that you are getting more chargeable hours through the business, especially with the benefit of it perhaps being a more expensive resource as well, so it's a higher charge rate. That is going to increase profitability. As long as the process is nice and smooth, that will increase your profitability. Another thing to keep track on is your client profitability. So this is just a typical example where my mouse is here on the right hand side of a pie chart. This is actually showing us our turnover. I've got mine set to turnover. If you guys track it off gross profit, again, that's fine. But it's just looking at, okay, so we've got all of these clients who are the most profitable to us. So if we can see we've actually got some in here that are maybe growing in profitability, let's embrace those. Let's find out why they're growing in profitability. Is it because they're a new client? And is it because, you know, they were using a number of different services, or they're using a lot of one particular service that you offer? Start analysing those clients and seeing, you know, where you can grow that profitability on the clients. This is also a really good just example in how you can make sure that you've not got all of your eggs in one basket, because in this example we can see that we've got City Sprint as an example, but we've got City Sprint which are very profitable to us. However, the risk is that if we ever lost that client, God forbid, but if we did ever lose that client, we may be in a bit of a sticky situation. So it's almost, like I said, making sure that we haven't got all of our eggs in one basket. We've got a nice spread across all of our clients. We're growing those new clients to make them become more profitable. We're also embracing our already profitable clients. And we're going into those clients' accounts and looking at if there is any over servicing. Where is it? Is it because they move the goalposts? Is it because the wrong resource is doing the job? Is it because actually there's some human error? Start spotting patterns with that particular client's account, and start growing that profitability. It may be that if you're only offering them one service, maybe you want to start offering them another service as well. Potentially that's not always a potential, but it could be. So just analysing each of those. Now, another really important aspect, I believe, of an agency is the time recording, because everything that we've literally just gone over is very dependent on the fact that we've got that visibility. Now, one of the ways in which we gain that visibility is actually through recording time. So whether it be recording time so we can track utilization rates, so we can start analysing, where we've got non-chargeable hours, where we've got chargeable hours going out, whether it's so we can make sure that we are profitable with our clients and we're not over servicing. On an individual job basis, if I just show you this particular example that I've got here, this would be a list of what would be all of your live jobs. This thermometer bar here is showing us how far through the budget we are. Now, what I mean by that, if we've, say, estimated 100 hours for a job, time recording is so key, because actually we need to know if we've if we've estimated 100 hours, let's say 50 hours have been recorded. One, we need to know that, but two, we can then actually go into that job and say, right, so we're 50% of the way through the budget. Are we 50% of the way through the work? If we're not 50% of the way through the work, we can start identifying where we're not and why we're not. Is it because that the clients move the goalposts? Is it because that there's been some human error? Is it because the different resources been used? Okay, so we can just start identifying, reasons for things like over servicing. So some of those areas in which obviously I mentioned previously that I would mention. So time recording is a really, really key part of any agency. We work with, over 500 clients within the creative industry, and time recording is where they gain so much visibility, and by gaining that visibility they then actually have the ability to act on it. Okay, so they've got all that visibility by following a nice clean process, but then they can actually act on it. Now, just I know we're running short on time for this particular summer series. I hope that you can all join me for many more, and I'll be covering lots of different topics. Today we did focus more on the hours sold versus available hours. We also looked at the staff utilisation rates, the benefits of having that, and where room for manoeuvre could potentially happen. What we'll also be doing is, on the next one, we'll be looking into more detail on the more financial aspects of the business. So not only the benefits of staff utilisation and, having that visibility on your client profitability and what the benefits are, also on your job tracking, time recording, and how to reduce over servicing. But we will be going into more detail on, some tips on how to actually carry out those particular things. So how to, gain that staff utilization. I know we did look at some calculations today, but like I said, we have run out of time, unfortunately. I really hope that you can join me for the next one. It is exciting, so please do join us for the next one. I'm just going to quickly go through some of the top tips that we did cover today. So record all chargeable and non-chargeable time so you can gain that utilization information. We've also got in there, keep track of hours sold, okay, set utilization targets, track new business forecasts. So if we're not selling the number of hours in which we have available, we can try and get some pushed through. And then we've also got accuracy of data. So in fact, on the next series, I will be covering how to keep data nice and accurate. So please do join us for the next one just by following the link that you did previously. And hopefully you gain many more top tips. If you want to contact me, if you'd like me to send you a recording, please do send me an email or drop me a line on the number in which you can see on the screen there. I'm happy to answer any questions, and I hope that you can join me for my next episode. Thanks ever so much for joining, and I hope to speak to you all soon.